मैंने अक्सर जब भी लॉयर से मिला हूँ, मैंने अक्सर नोटिस करा है दैट it seems to me that distraction and multitasking is a norm of a lawyer, right? You're smiling because it is probably partially true,
I myself am guilty of it, I must
right?
confess.
Professional negligence से because of handling this many cases and running around two different courts, अलग अलग तारीख होती हैं, दिन में तीन तीन चार चार पांच पांच छः तारीख भुगत रहे हो. There is genuine context switching as you go from, say, a rape case to a divorce case to a criminal something else case, right? There is all of that happening. You're under fight or flight, right? Often like on an empty stomach, whatever. आपके client भी phone कर रहे हैं, दबाव डाल रहे हैं. It's a very, I will say for sure from even the outside, it's a very high, it's already worse that you are an accused or having to go to courts, right? किसी भी तरीके के लिए. It's even worse for a lawyer because it's a very high pressure job from what I see. But how much has, in your opinion, if you can give examples, किसी लॉयर की लापरवाही की वजह से केस बर्बाद हो गया, किसी की जान खामा खां परेशान में आ गई, कोई लोग जेल चले गए क्योंकि लॉयर दिमाग नहीं लगा रहा था अपना?
1 in 5.
Yeah?
Guaranteed, minimum guaranteed 1 in 5 situations. But first and foremost, thank you for the sympathy. For,
No, I'm
for
generally saying
placing
that, yeah.
yourself in our shoes. It is genuinely a big problem. And I have a couple of thoughts on this. One is, people talk a lot about work-life balance also for lawyers. It doesn't exist. And I feel like, how do you afford the luxury to not be working all the time? To not be working all the time when you know that so many big things are at stake. The person's liberty is at stake, their entire net worth, their life savings, their ancestral properties are at stake. How do you not commit to working every minute of every day if you're not in the courtroom arguing, if you're not on the file preparing, if maybe you are on the computer researching, maybe you are going through the notes one more time, maybe you are consulting your client one last time before you head into the courtroom. If you're not doing all of this and you're trying to have work-life balance, you're doing a huge disservice, because as long as you're in the game of advocacy, perhaps doctors are in the profession of medicine or surgery, till the time you are there. And that's why, if someone says, I want to pack it up and I want to, this is something that I never used to think about earlier days, but nowadays I do. And I say that till the time you are here, give it your best, give it your all, right? My team members and I are working till well late into the night, 11, 12 at night. And then we get up early in the morning at 6 or 7. And then we're rushing to the court. And that's all we do day in, day out, every single day. Saturdays are Sundays. Saturdays our district courts are open, but Saturdays and Sundays otherwise are also for planning for the next week's matters and the next month's matters. Summer vacations are there for 30 days for lawyers and for judges. But then we are looking at longer term strategies. We are looking at a bunch of other things. So we are constantly at it. And to what extent do you do this without getting burnt out? That's one aspect, which honestly, I don't really have the answer to it. Now, on the question of all of this leading to perhaps burnout, perhaps callousness, perhaps indifference. These are all things which do come up. I must confess, I must agree. It's happened with me as well. And I have to, from time to time, wake up, slap myself and come to understand the depth of the responsibility that is placed on my shoulders. As a professional, someone who's been given the duty and this responsibility of being an advocate, someone who's been given the privilege of representing other people before a competent authority, right? Be it the police or be it the judge. So I have to take stock of the matter myself. But on a lot of occasions, I say I make mistakes. So does every single advocate, lawyer on the planet. And I think to that extent, our mistakes, even the Bar Council says that, the Supreme Court says that the lawyer's mistake, you cannot call it professional negligence. Perhaps giving, legal advice which was not completely up to the mark is also not professional negligence. However, there is a certain standard which has to be maintained. And if you're going below that standard, then it is definitely professional negligence.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I say, it's like saying, I am 150 kilograms And I'm wondering, yeah, when am I going to get six packs? There are such bigger troubles right now which we face as a system, that looking at, the most up to the mark legal service was not given is a thing that we can consider for a far later
But it's
time.
a service, right? There are no, जैसे मैं ये इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ आपसे, क्या ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि कोई किसी की जिंदगी को इतना नष्ट कर दिया उसके एक इररिस्पॉन्सिबल लॉयर ने, that they in fact sue the lawyer back or file a case against the lawyer for professional negligence? Is that a construct at all?
Yes, absolutely. That happens. So people have tried to file consumer cases against lawyers. That me as a consumer of this thing, but the Supreme Court has, on many occasions, including very recently, said that advocacy is not a consumer service. It is a professional service, and so lawyers do not come under the ambit of the Consumer Protection Act. That is one. However, there is one remedy which is available to people, which is filing a complaint with the State Bar Council of professional negligence, right? And sometimes the bar councils are a little lax, sometimes they are very strict. A lot of lawyers thousands of lawyers over the years have lost their license to practice, have had their license suspended. It is still not up to the mark, to be honest. There have been a lot of cases I have seen where people have filed, and again, I say good service was not given. Forget about that. My life was ruined because of a bad lawyer. Forget about that. How about the lawyer conspiring with the opponent to grab your property, to have you sent in jail, to have you cough up money to pay to the opponent, and then the lawyers are involved, to represent to their client that we have won. They forge and fabricate court decrees showing that the client has won.
मैंने district court में, first time district court is, I remember going to a tehsil to get some gazetted officer sign as a kid. I still remember someone talking about कि मैंने तो उसका lawyer भी पटा लिया है.
Correct.
ठीक है, क्योंकि अगर कोई एक लेमैन है वो सोचेगा वाओ थोड़े से पैसे दिए लॉयर कर लिया, आई एम सेट, अब हम जीतेंगे इसको, like they're pumped. They don't know that for the lifers who are used to courts and whatnot, you can even make a lawyer complicit, especially in the lower courts. So that is happening rampantly, right?
Agreed. Lawyers are bought. And, again, I say let's go another level deeper. One is bad legal advice. Another is the lawyer was purchased. Another thing is, a lot of times, this happens so many times, clients come to me and say that, my lawyer was bought off by the opposite party. But I tell them, it is very possible that he was not purchased. He was just severely incompetent, because of which your case tanked. This is also a very, very prevalent reality in this country. So, which is a bigger evil? Being bribed by the opponent or being severely incompetent? I leave it to you to decide.
I think I would probably go with incompetence, because ये तो और भी बुरी बात है ना कि पहले आपने वो गाड़ी पर स्टिकर लगाया, आपने वो कपड़े पहने, आपने इतनी मेहनत करी, आपने वकालत करा, वकालत में आए, उसके बाद भी जाके आप एक निकम्मे हो, उसका तो कोई इलाज ही नहीं है.